The Executioner versus Lights Out. A fight that could have happened but never did. This fight was in the talks, but each fighter went their separate paths. Two fighters existing in the same era. Each fighter winning multiple titles in multiple weight classes, and even holding the same title, but at different times. It becomes the question, who would have won in a prime matchup of Bernard Hopkins and James Toney? In this video, we will be leaving out the impact the boxer has made on the sport, and we will be breaking down the strengths and weaknesses of each fighter to build a realistic result in this prediction. As these two boxers fought in different weight classes, the fighter's prime weight class can be disputed, so we will imagine this matchup pound for pound, size being taken out of the discussion. Starting off with Bernard Hopkins. Hopkins held the middleweight undisputed championship from 2001 to 2005, also holding the WBC, IBF, and WBA super light heavyweight titles. Hopkins had an 82% win to fight ratio with a 47.7% knockout to fight ratio. Hopkins was a smart boxer who would strategize against his opponent's style. He was an inside pressure fighter who would often set the pace by roughing up his opponents, clinching and frustrating them. Hopkins was a defensive fighter who would make his opponents miss with slips and rolls, following it up with accurate counters. Additional strengths of Bernard Hopkins include his right hand, power body shots, sharp angles, and exceptional cardio. For weaknesses, if Hopkins' opponent is not allowing him to set his pace, he has difficulty controlling the overall fight. Another weakness of Hopkins is his opponent's ability to punch over his guard due to his predictable clinching approach. At 17 years old, Bernard Hopkins served 56 months in prison for robbery. There, Hopkins found his passion for boxing. Hopkins went on to have a clean record. On September 18, 2004, Bernard Hopkins defeated Oscar de la Hoya by knockout in round 8, becoming the first boxer to unify all 4 titles in the 4-belt era. Bernard Hopkins has the longest title reign in middleweight history with 10 years, 2 months, and 18 days. On May 21, 2011, Bernard Hopkins defeated John Pascal in their rematch, winning the WBC and ring light heavyweight titles to become the oldest champion to win a major title. Hopkins was 46 years old, surpassing the previous record of 45 held by George Foreman. Hopkins surpassed his record 2 more times, holding the record at 49. Bernard Hopkins was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame class of 2020. His opponent across the ring, James Toney. Toney held titles across 3 weight classes, including the IBF middleweight title, the IBF super middleweight title, and the IBF cruiserweight title. Toney has an 83.7 win to fight ratio with a 51% knockout to fight ratio. Toney was a sharp inside boxer who could also box from the outside. He would effectively use the shoulder roll defense. He would frustrate his opponents by making them miss, countering them from all angles. Toney had great movement, often sidestepping, and always lining himself up for the next punch or combo. Toney was exceptionally fast, who seemingly threw every punch effectively, from his jabs, hooks, uppercuts, to body shots. James Toney also had an exceptional chin, never being stopped in 92 pro fights, across 5 weight classes. For weaknesses, Toney struggled against extremely fast fighters, Toney being unable to dodge and counter in time. Toney also relied on a slip counter right, which his opponents could neutralize if they had the speed to anticipate it. James Toney fought in 15 world title fights. James Toney had one MMA fight in the UFC against former UFC light heavyweight and former heavyweight champion Randy Couture. Couture won in round 1 via armbar triangle choke. James Toney was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame class of 2022. James Toney won his first 44 pro fights and never lost at middleweight. James Toney portrayed Joe Frazier in the movie Ali, starring Will Smith. For the result, I don't predict a knockout. I see a decision considering both fighters had exceptional chins. Bernard Hopkins was a smart fighter who did everything well. However, James Toney was very talented and all around. I don't believe Bernard Hopkins would be able to set his pace, not possessing the overall hand speed and athleticism to defeat a prime James Toney. I predict Bernard Hopkins would lose to a close fight against James Toney. Toney exposing the flaws of Bernard Hopkins. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe. We post boxing related videos weekly, and let us know who you have winning in this fantasy fight matchup.